If your entire value in QA right now is executing steps, you've got a problem in 2026, not because QA is going away, but because execution is getting cheap, really cheap. And when something gets cheap, the market stops paying a premium for it. Today, I want to walk you through what's actually shifting in QA right now, and more importantly, what you need if you want to move into a leadership role. Welcome to episode 1 of From Tester to AI Quality Leader 2026 edition. Over the next 20 minutes or so, here's what we're going to cover. What actually changed in 2026 that makes just running tests a dead-end career move? Why quality is no longer about test coverage, it's about risk coverage, and the specific mindset shift that takes you from being the tester to being the quality leader in the room. Let's start with what's actually happening out there. In 2026, the testing industry is moving in some very clear directions. Autonomous and agentic testing agents are becoming a real thing. And when I say agentic, I just mean AI that doesn't only generate an answer. It can plan out steps, use tools, take actions, and keep going until it reaches a goal. That's a big deal for QA. Teams are now being asked to test AI-generated code and test the AI systems themselves, both at the same time. Quality is becoming continuous, shift left and shift right. Shift left means catching problems earlier in design reviews, unit tests, contract tests before they get expensive. Shift right means validating quality in the real world using production signals like monitoring incident feedback. QA is expected to be involved across the whole life cycle now, not just before release. These aren't opinions. They're showing up in 2026 industry write-ups. X-Ray's top software testing trends for 2026 specifically calls out autonomous testing agents, testing AI-generated code, continuous quality, API-first testing, and continuous security and performance practices. So if you're still measuring your value by how many test cases you executed this sprint, you're playing a game that's already changing around you. Here's the part nobody really wants to say out loud. AI didn't replace QA, but it did start replacing the repetitive parts of QA. And the more your day-to-day looks like clicking through the same checklists, writing boilerplate automation scripts, or maintaining flaky UI tests without ever questioning the strategy behind them, the more you're in direct competition with tools and agents that can do that same work faster and cheaper. The way 2026 trend discussions describe it, AI has moved from suggesting things to actually acting. We're talking about agents that can read a ticket, decide what level of testing makes sense, run the tests, and report back. That doesn't mean QA disappears, but it does mean the human role shifts. Humans move up the stack to goals, boundaries, and risk decisions. White Test Lab's 2026 Trends piece describes this exact shift. In 2026, execution is not leadership. Execution is the baseline. So if execution is the baseline, what's the actual job? The new job is quality accountability. And here's what that actually means in practice. You're not just running tests anymore. You're the one who defines what safe enough to ship actually means for your team. You set the quality objectives. You decide where a human needs to be in the loop and where automation can take the wheel. And you own the risks that slip through, especially in systems that have AI in them. This isn't just a nice idea. Tricentis put it directly in their 2026 QA trends write-up. They describe QA shifting from executing tests to defining objectives and governing AI-driven outcomes. And they make the point that AI is probabilistic, meaning the same input can produce different outputs depending on context and how the model is sampling. So having a human in the loop, meaning a human who reviews or approves key decisions before the system moves forward, isn't optional. It's non-negotiable. In 2026, leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about ownership. Here's the mindset shift that most QA engineers haven't made yet, and it's the one that matters most. Traditional software is mostly deterministic. same input, same state, same output every time. So you do A, you expect B, and if you get B, it passes. That's the whole model. But AI enabled features don't work that way. They're probabilistic, outputs vary, behavior changes depending on context. The same prompt can give you different responses on different runs. And the failure isn't always a bug in the traditional sense. It might be a policy violation, an unsafe response, or something that creates a real reputational damage. So the job shifts from testing to assurance. Instead of only asking, did it pass? You start asking, is it reliable? Is it safe? Is it compliant? And does it actually do what the business needs it to do? Let me make that concrete. Say you've got a chatbot that answers correctly 8 out of 10 times. Sounds pretty good, right? But if those other two responses contain hallucinations, and by hallucinations, I mean the model produces something that sounds totally confident, but isn't grounded in real data or the actual context. Or if those two responses contain unsafe content, that chatbot might not be acceptable to ship. The pass rate isn't the whole story. Or think about an agent that can actually take actions, book something, issue a refund, approve a request, change data in a system. It might be functionally correct most of the time. But if someone can manipulate it into doing the wrong thing, that's a serious problem. That's exactly where guardrails come in. Constraints like permissions, policies, allow lists, and approval steps that define what the system is and isn't allowed to do. That's why you keep seeing governance, guardrails, and continuous quality come up in every 2026 trends conversation. The failure modes changed. The testing approach has to change with them. Here's the trap I see mid-level testers fall into all the time. They think the answer is more test cases, more coverage, more automation, more volume. But the business doesn't care about test case count. The business cares about risk. In 2026, QA strategy is moving away from how much did we cover toward did we cover what actually matters, maximizing risk coverage instead of raw test coverage, focusing your effort where the real consequences are instead of trying to test everything equally. Like that's even possible. Tricentis calls this out directly in their 2026 trends article. So here's what the leadership move actually looks like. Start by identifying the top business risks, not the top features, the top risks. Map those risks to the user journeys, data flows, and integrations where they live. Define your quality gates and the monitoring signals that tell you something's wrong. Then use automation and agents to scale the execution side of that. And keep humans in the loop for the judgment calls and the edge cases that automation can't handle. I want to give you a framework you can actually use, something simple enough to remember and specific enough to act on. In 2026, QA leadership comes down to 4 pillars. Intent. What is the system actually supposed to do for the user and the business? Risk. What's the real cost if it fails? We're talking money, trust, compliance, safety. Evidence. What proof do we have that it's safe to ship? That includes tests, telemetry, monitoring. Governance. Which decisions need a human? What can automation handle? And what are the guardrails? QA lives at evidence. You run tests, you report results. Whereas quality leadership owns all 4 pillars. If you want authority roles, you need to be able to speak fluently in all 4 of those categories. All right, let's make this practical. Here are 3 things you can actually do this week to start showing up like a quality leader. 1, rewrite your next test plan as a risk plan. Don't write test login, test checkout. Write risk, wrong charge applied. Risk, customer data exposed. Risk, agent takes the wrong action on a live account. That framing changes the conversation you have with your team and your stakeholders. 2, add shift right signals to your definition of done. Even if you don't own production monitoring today, start asking the question, what are we going to watch after this ships to know it's actually behaving safely? That question alone positions you differently. Production-centric quality keeps coming up as a 2026 priority. X-ray flags it, white test lab flags it, and observability is a big part of that. meaning your ability to explain what happened using logs, metrics, and traces. For AI workflows specifically, that also means tracking prompts, tool calls, and what sources got retrieved. Three, start identifying your human in the loop points. Where in your system does a human have to be involved? Because you genuinely can't trust automation to get it right yet. Map those out, name them. That's a quality leadership conversation. Let me leave you with this. AI is not coming for QA, it's coming for low context execution. The kind of work that doesn't require judgment, doesn't require risk thinking, and doesn't require someone who understands the business consequences of getting it wrong. Your advantage in 2026 is in speed. It's not how fast you can run a test suite, it's judgment, risk thinking, governance, leadership. In episode 2, we're going to get specific. How do you actually architect quality for agentic workflows? Systems where AI isn't just responding to a question, it's taking real actions in the world. That's where things get interesting. If you're tired of being just the tester in the room, follow me. This whole series is built to move you into authority.